Hello, I'm Gail. Thank you for joining me on the Secular Scriptures. Today's reading is going to be a chonker. Genesis chapter 25, verse 19 through chapter 28, verse 9 from the World English Bible, a free public domain translation of the Bible, without which this study would not be possible. This is the tale of the twins Esau and Jacob, a saga of sibling rivalry and burgled blessings. Please enjoy the reading and then stay for the discussion of history, literary analysis, comparative mythology, and conflicts, contradictions, and controversies. This is a secular Bible study, so don't trade your birthright for a bowl of proselytizing and apologetic soup. I am not a biblical scholar, I just love these stories. Discussions are welcome, fighting is not. Jacob, Esau, did you hear what I said? Now get yourselves a tasty beverage or a bowl of lentil stew. It's the first link in the description box below, and I'll regale you with the tale of Isaac and Rebekah's boys. Genesis chapter 25, verse 19 to 34. This is the history of the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham became the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian, to be his wife. Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. Yahweh was entreated by him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it is like this, why do I live?" She went to inquire of Yahweh. Yahweh said to her, "Two nations are in your womb. Two peoples will be separated from your body. The one people will be stronger than the other people. The elder will serve the younger." When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over, like a hairy garment. They named him Esau. After that his brother came out, and his hand had hold of Esau's heel. He was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. The boys grew. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field. Jacob was a quiet man living in tents. Now Isaac loved Esau because he ate his venison. Rebekah loved Jacob. Jacob boiled stew. Esau came in from the field, and he was famished. Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with some of that red stew, for I am famished." Therefore his name was called Edom. Edom means red. Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau said, "Behold, I'm about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." He swore to him. He sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esau the bread and lentil stew. He ate and drank, rose up, and went his way. So Esau despised his birthright. Genesis chapter 26. There was a famine in the land, in addition to the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, to Gerar. Yahweh appeared to him and said, "Don't go down to Egypt. Live in the land I will tell you about. Live in this land, and I will be with you, and will bless you. For I will give to you and to your offspring all these lands, and I will establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your offspring as the stars of the sky, and I will give all these lands to your offspring. In your offspring all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my requirements, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." Isaac lived in Gerar. The men of the place asked him about his wife. He said, "She is my sister," for he was afraid to say my wife, lest he thought the men of the place might kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to look at. When he had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing Rebekah his wife. Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Behold, surely she is your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I said, lest I die because of her." Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." Abimelech commanded all the people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife will surely be put to death." Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100 times what he planted. Yahweh blessed him. The man grew great and grew more and more until he became very great. He had possessions of flocks, possessions of herds, and a great household. The Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped up and filled with earth. Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." Isaac departed from there, encamped in the valley of Gerar, and lived there. Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. He called their names after the names by which his father had called them. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of flowing water. The herdsmen of Gerar argued with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, "The water is ours." So he called the name of the well Esk, which means contention, because they contended with him. They dug another well, and they argued over that also. So he called its name Sitnah, means hostility. He left that place and dug another well. They didn't argue over that one, so he called it Rehoboth, which means broad places. He said, "For now Yahweh has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." He went up from there to Beersheba. Yahweh appeared to him that same night and said, "I am the God of Abraham your father. Don't be afraid, for I am with you, and will bless you and multiply your offspring for my servant Abraham's sake." He built an altar there and called on Yahweh's name and pitched his tent there. There Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar with Ahuzah his friend and Phicol the captain of his army. Isaac said to him, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" They said, "We saw plainly that Yahweh was with you." We said, "Let there now be an oath between us, even between us and you, and let's make a covenant with you that you will do us no harm, as we have not touched you, and as we have done to you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of Yahweh." He made them a feast, and they ate and drank. They rose up some time in the morning, and swore an oath to one another. Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. The same day Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." He called it Sheba, which means oath or seven. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Beersheba means the well of the oath, or the well of seven. When Esau was 40 years old, he took his wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. They grieved Isaac's and Rebekah's spirits. Genesis chapter 27. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his elder son and said to him, "My son?" He said to him, "Here I am." He said, "See now, I am old. I don't know the day of my death. Now therefore, please take your weapons and your quiver and your bow and go out to the field and get me venison. Make me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die." Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son. Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, "Behold, I hear your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory food, that I may eat, and bless you before Yahweh before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command you. Now go to the flock and get me 2 good young goats from there. I will make them savory food for your father, such as he loves. You shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, so that he may bless you before his death." Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. What if my father touches me? I will seem to him as a deceiver, and I would bring a curse on myself, and not a blessing." His mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Obey only my voice, and go get them for me." He went and got them, and brought them to his mother. His mother made savory food, such as his father loved. Rebekah took the good clothes of Esau her elder son, which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob her younger son. She put the skins of the young goats on his hands and on the smooth of his neck, and she gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hands of her son Jacob. He came to his father and said, "My father?" He said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done what you have asked me to do. Please arise, sit and eat of my venison, that your soul may bless me." Isaac said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" He said, "Because Yahweh, your God, gave me success." Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not." Jacob went near to Isaac his father. He felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He didn't recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. He said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He said, "I am." He said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless you." He brought it near to him, and he ate. He brought him wine, and he drank. His father Isaac said to him, "Come near now, and kiss me, my son." He came near and kissed him. He smelled the smell of his clothing and blessed him and said, Behold, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field which Yahweh has blessed. God give you of the dew of the sky, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and new wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers. Let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you. Blessed be everyone who blesses you. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had just gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also made savory food and brought it to his father, and he said to his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that your soul may bless me. Isaac his father said to him, Who are you? He said, I am your son, your firstborn son, Esau. Isaac trembled violently and said, Who then is he who has taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before you came, and have blessed him. Yes, he will be blessed. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried in an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me, even also me, my father. He said, Your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your blessing. He said, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. See, now he has taken away my blessing. He said, Haven't you reserved a blessing for me? Isaac answered Esau, Behold, I have made him your lord, and all his brothers I have given to him for servants. I have sustained him with grain and new wine. What then will I do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, Do you have just one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Isaac his father answered him, Behold, your dwelling will be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the sky from above. You will live by your sword, and you will serve your brother. It will happen, when you will break loose, that you will shake off his yoke from your neck. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand, and then I will kill my brother Jacob. The words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. She sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, Behold, your brother Esau comforts himself about you by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to Laban, my brother, in Haran. Stay with him a few days, until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and get you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day? Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of life because of these daughters of Het. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Het, such as these, of the daughters of the land, what good will my life do me? Genesis chapter 28. Isaac called Jacob, blessed him, and commanded him, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father. Take a wife from there, from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you, and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be a company of peoples, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your offspring with you, that you may inherit the land where you travel, which God gave to Abraham. Isaac sent Jacob away. He went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that as he blessed him and gave him a command, saying, You shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, and that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and that he was gone to Padan Aram. Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan didn't please Isaac his father. So Esau went to Ishmael, and took, in addition to the wives he had, took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife. Okay, I know that was a lot, but I wanted to look at the whole blessed story arc as one chunk of literature. I did see some of this type of behavior in my neighbors, but how many people with siblings act like this? My mother's sisters were never allowed to behave like this, and nobody argued over stuff when my grandparents passed away. They just took care of the estate and took care of each other. Do we know how to use the word no? Do we have a code of conduct? Hello? Parenting? Anybody? Teamwork? No? Apparently we're just going to play favorites and engage in sibling rivalry, because that always turns out well. Why does God favor Jacob over Esau? Is Esau a good guy or a bad guy in this tale? Is Jacob a sneaky little bee or a cunning hero? Why didn't Rebekah just talk to Isaac about God's prophecy for the twins? What other brothers? Why are we doing the she's my sister thing again? History of the text. This was written by the J source, or the Yahweh source, in the 10th to 9th century BCE, and the P source in the 6th to 5th century BCE, prior to the Babylonian exile. J was working in the southern kingdom of Judah, and P was working in Jerusalem. Were there edits? Oh, heck yeah. Post-exile Jerusalem, cheers to the redactor. All right, literary analysis. Please do not skip this section. This is the bulk of the thing. Since this reading covers 4 distinct scenes, each with their own time frames and locations, I'm going to divide it up that way. At some point, go read Jubilees chapter 19 through 38. Jubilees is from the 2nd century BCE. It greatly expands on this story and explains a lot, for better or worse. Today, it's not used outside of the Ethiopian traditions, and it is not part of the original story. But it will give you a good idea of why the New Testament writings look back at these much older stories the way they do. A word of caution is that I am very glad the Jubilees is not part of the Bible. It amps up the hate meter by a lot, and in my opinion, it's both the good and the right decision not to include it. Okay, back to the Bible. Scene 1 is Genesis 25, verse 19 through 26, the birth of the twins. This is by both the J and the P sources. We are in Bir Lahai Roi when Isaac is between 40 and 60 years old. And in the real world, this would be 2006 to 1836 BCE, depending on which biblical timeline you are using. Characters in order of appearance are Abraham, who is just mentioned, Isaac, Rebekah in a speaking role, Bethuel the Syrian of Padan Aram, and Laban the Syrian are both mentioned. Yahweh is in a speaking role. Esau and Jacob are born. So in this scene, only Rebekah and Yahweh speak. If I were setting this up as a stage scene, I would have Abraham, Bethuel, and Laban off to one side with backlighting and a family tree behind them. It is told in the third person limited, omniscient if we're taking the whole story as one, but because this shifts main characters between scenes, I really do think that these parts are limited. And it's told in the narrative prose style. Plot summary. We get a review of Isaac and Becky getting married. They can't have kids because Yahweh's an attention-seeking brat who makes them beg pray for 20 years and finally get blessed with twins. Becky has a rough pregnancy and regrets wishing for children, waddles up a mountain and asks God, why? In person, and God says, your boys is gonna fight. My money's on the younger one. Esau is red and hairy, and Jacob comes out literally on his brother's heel. Talk about not having time to rest in between. This part of the tale contains another example of direct interactions with Yahweh. Rebekah went to inquire of Yahweh, which may be a reference to traveling to a high place, to a well, which could be because they're at Bir Lahai Roi, or a tree where God happened to be in the past. She isn't just praying on the spot. They are having an actual encounter and conversation in a specific physical location. God is physically present there, which is characteristic of the Yahweh source, and we'll get some digs on that in the Moses story, which I find highly amusing. There is a scholarly theory that the Abraham origin story and the Moses origin story are competing narratives that were combined during the Second Temple period. So far, God has spoken directly to Eve, Hagar, Sarah, and Rebekah, and for the guys, it's been Adam, Cain, Noah, Abraham, and Isaac. The twins' names are symbolic and important. Esau means hairy or rough, and Jacob means supplanter, holder of the heel, or deceiver. I want to note that it's not until much later writings that God says that he hated Esau. That is not part of this story. Scene 2 is Genesis chapter 25, verse 27 through 34, a mess of pottage, and this is all by the J source. The characters are Jacob and Esau in speaking roles, and Isaac and Rebekah, who are mentioned. The setting is Bir Lahai Roi when the boys are teens or young adults. Point of view and style is the third person limited in the narrative prose style. Summary. Esau comes in from hunting. He's hungry and wants some of Jacob's lentil stew, link in the description box below. And Jacob says, sell me your birthright. And Esau says, cool, yum, and goes about his business. If this channel were a bowl of lentil soup, Jacob and Esau would like and subscribe. I should probably save this for literary devices. We're going to talk about character development. This scene paints Esau as impulsive, possibly a little bit dumb, and uncaring for tradition and his own future. And it depicts Jacob as a cunning, petty, manipulative. This is also where the reader wonders what kind of characters we're looking at, and is there more to this story? Like most Hebrew Israelite Jewish tales, yes, there's more. And there are disagreements, which is a grand tradition. Some show Esau as this big, selfish, violent lug, and others as an impulsive but good-hearted outdoorsman who's just slower to catch on to the socially approved course of action. In the versions where he's wicked, he doesn't really grow as a person, he's just a temperamental jerk. In the others, he does get control of his temper, and he does learn to do better, and yes, I am skipping ahead. In both versions, Jacob shows growth as a person. Here we get the opportunistic deceiver. If we look at the Jewish expansion pack in Jubilees and Jasher and the Midrash and Agada stories, we see a man who cares about his brother and saves him. Scene 3 is Genesis 26, Gerar, She's My Sister, the reboot. This is by a combination of J, P, and R. In scene 3, they move around a bit, so characters and settings are combined. Scene 3 opens in Beersheba during a famine, and the entire company travels to Gerar. Abraham, Rip, is mentioned. Isaac, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and Yahweh are all in speaking roles. The men of the place appear and ask a question, but they don't actually speak, and Rebecca is present. Then, at the wells of Esk, Sitnah, and Rehoboth, we have the herdsmen of Gerar in speaking roles, and Isaac's herdsmen arguing. Scene 3 closes at Beersheba and the well of Sheba, again named after the oath and the 7 ewe lambs from Abraham's oath with Abimelech and Phicol, which is totally not the same story here, guys. Isaac and company are present, and it's only Isaac and Yahweh who speak at this point. Then later on in the scene, we have King Abimelech in a speaking role, his friend Ahuzah, and Phicol, the captain of his army, potentially in speaking roles, and Isaac in his camp. Isaac is in a speaking role. Presumably also at Beersheba, we have Esau, who is 40 at that point, Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, get married. This part of the story is told from the third person limited in a narrative prose style, and we have a plot summary. The redactor wants to make sure that we all understand that this is not the same famine that happened before Isaac is born. No, this is not the same story recycled at all. So Isaac and Rebecca and the boys pack up camp and head off to Gerar, where the men say, "Who's that hot chick?" To which Isaac replies, "My sister." And then King Abimelech sees them smooching and pitches a righteous fit. Things go well, and then King Abimelech gets nervous and boots them out. There are kerfuffles about wells and land use, and finally they get to Beersheba and have no issues. King Abimelech comes back to make a treaty with Isaac. This is definitely not a retelling of the Abraham story at all. Oh, and Yahweh makes the same promises to Isaac that he made to Abraham, lots of kids, lots of land, yada yada, twice. And it's totally not the same story as Abraham's at all. Scene 4 is Genesis chapter 27 and 28, verses 1 through 9, the blessing, or the 3 blessings of Isaac. This is by the J and P sources. Characters are Isaac, Esau, Rebecca, and Jacob, all in speaking roles, 2 young goats, past tense, they don't speak, and a dead deer, which should probably be a prop, not a character. This part of the story is set when Isaac is old and blind. Esau has taken 2 wives and is over 40. Jacob has not yet married. While the Bible doesn't say so, the twins are 77 when Jacob steals the blessing and sets out on his journey to Padam Aram. But you need to picture somebody in their 20s or 30s because we're on Bible time here. This is finally told in the third person omniscient. We get to see how all 4 characters think and feel in one story arc. Again, this is told in the prose narrative style. Hello, Possum. What you doing? You were dusting. Your face is a mess. What do you have all over your face? Thank you for dusting. You're a good duster. Yeah. Really? You think so, huh? Oh, thank you. I love you too. She's gonna bite me. Where are we? Plot summary. Isaac is old and blind and has a hankering for Esau's venison stew, so he sends him out for to get some noms. Becky overhears and nips her boy in at the head of the line via some dead kids. Goats, that is. And Jake steals Esau's shit yet again. Esau and Isaac are both upset, so the old man digs up another blessing, but Esau is still like, I gotta kill that little shit. And Becky cooks up another plot and sends Jake away to get him a hot cousin bride and stop his bro from fratricide. Esau takes a breather and a hot cousin wife to please the folks. Literary devices. We have repetition. Stew, blessings, and the loss of inheritance over stew. There is a doublet, possibly a triplet. A doublet is an alternative version of a similar incident found elsewhere in the story. Chapter 26 is a doublet of chapter 20 and 21, verse 22 to 32. Character development is the process of showing how a character changes and evolves over the course of a story. I covered it above, but watch for it through the rest of the twins' story arc. We have binary opposition, where two like things are actually in opposition. The twins are opposites in every way, or almost every way. I guess you could say almost every way. There's also a bunch of symbolism and wordplay, and you can delve into that on their own. I did mention that the boys' names are symbolic. Comparative mythology. There are two themes in this story worth exploring in comparative mythology: the competing twins and the disguised family member. And Romulus and Remus are competing twins where one ends up killing the other. Jacob and Esau have a much happier ending. In this version, anyway. They unfortunately do follow that pattern in the Book of Jubilees. While it's not looking like it's going to turn out happy at this point, we've left off with Jacob fleeing for his life to the home of tricky old Uncle Laban. From Philippine mythology, we have the story of twins who fight over their inheritance, in this case, the world. This is the story of why the sun is brighter than the moon. Bathala, the creator of the world, had a son named Apolaki and a daughter named Mayari. The light that shone upon the world and enabled the people, the beasts, and the birds, and the fish to see came from the bright eyes of Apolaki and Mayari. So all the creatures loved them dearly. Bathala himself was very fond of his children, and he watched over them as they wandered across the meadows of heaven. Since the eyes of Apolaki and Mayari shone continuously, it was always day on the earth. In time, Bathala grew feeble with age and died. Then Apolaki and Mayari had a quarrel, for each wanted to rule the world alone. I am the man, and I will succeed my father to the throne, said Apolaki. I am going to rule the world, whether you like it or not. Mayari's eyes flashed with anger, and she said, I'm no less my father's child than you. I will succeed him to the throne, whether you like it or not. The quarrel grew from bad to worse, and finally words could not express their furious rage. So they picked up wooden clubs and fell upon each other with fierce blows. Back and forth they fought, until at last Apolaki struck Mayari in the face, and she became blind in one eye. When he saw his sister stricken, Apolaki took pity on her and said, Let us fight no more, my sister. Let us share our father's kingdom equally between us. Let us reign by turns and be friends. Mayari agreed, and from then on, Apolaki, whom we know today as the sun, has ruled the world half the time. Mayari, whom we now know as the moon, has taken turns with her brother in ruling the world. When Apolaki is on the throne, the world is flooded with warm light because the light beams from his two bright eyes. On the other hand, when Mayari is reigning, the world is bathed with cool and gentle light, for she is blind in one eye. On the theme of the disguised family member, we have the tale of Little Red Riding Hood. While the characters jump around, the action in the story follows the same pattern as the tale of Jacob and Esau, and no, I'm not going to read you Little Red Riding Hood. Conflicts, contradictions, and controversies. I am going to jump around a little bit here. I apologize. There's a lot. So, we have some conflicting information within the text. Kind of. The doublet, or is it a triplet now, of She's My Sister, is turning into a bad family habit. It's not really a conflict of information. It just gets really muddy with the repeating plot device, renaming of the wells and the city of Beersheba. It's a hazard of believing that this story was written by Moses, when in reality it's a compilation of different authors' work over several centuries, and there's a danger in taking it literally, not as an origin myth. Once it's understood in terms of real-world literature and storytelling, the plain text conflict goes away. I do want to bring up the scholarly theory that I've seen a few times about the practice of half-sister and cousin marriage among the sons of Abraham. The basic theory, as I understand it, is that the men would have two related wives, one half-sister, one cousin from a paternal and maternal lines, have separate households at opposite ends of their political territory. This theory claims Sarah is the half-sister and Keturah is the cousin of Abraham, and it goes into complicated inheritance laws. According to this theory, Isaac has another wife and half-sisters from Keturah's daughters, and an oldest son who is not Esau, as Rebekah did not follow the naming conventions of an heir with Esau. I don't know how sound this theory is, but I do want to mention it just because of the reference to brothers in chapter 27, verse 29 and 37, when the Bible only lists one brother, Jacob's twin Esau. This also ties in with the theory that Abraham and Keturah taught their children sorcery, and this plays into like a lot of tensions between the different ethnic groups later on in the extra-biblical texts. Conflicting information within the religion. Is Esau good or evil or a bit of both? If we stick purely to the biblical narrative, Esau can be said to have different priorities than Jacob, and he's hot-tempered, but he isn't like a super bad guy. He's a very active fellow, he's impulsive and emotional, and he lives for the moment. By the end of this part of the story, we start to see him stop and think and learn when he takes a cousin wife, Ishmael's daughter, to please his parents. In the next part of the story, he appears to have forgiven Jacob, but Jacob doesn't entirely trust this. The brothers part on good terms, for now. Depending on which extra-biblical text you prefer, Jacob's mistrust is warranted. One tale from the book of Jubilees tells how Esau actually does try to kill Jacob, and Jacob later ends up killing him. In the book of Jasher, a lost book with the earliest copy being from the 1500s, which most scholars consider to be a medieval forgery, we get an account of Esau killing Nimrod, who was still alive. And this explains why Esau was willing to give up his birthright for a bowl of soup so easily. He thought he was going to be killed for having killed a king, and he wanted a good last meal. He was leaving everything to his brother. And I rather like this tale, even if it is of medieval origin. I've seen some sources claim that King Abimelech is the son of the old king, but that's not the case. King Abimelech and Phicol are the same people who Abraham met, not different people. Remember the ancient ages that people lived to in this story. It's been less than 100 years, and Shem is still alive. For now. Controversies! Because the story of Isaac saying Rebekah is his sister is basically a variation on the Abraham-Sarah tale, some scholars think that this was done to reinsert Isaac into the narrative post-sacrifice. It's a doublet right down to the deal with Abimelech and the naming of the well minus the 7 ewe lambs. Next is the obvious racism and prejudice that Isaac and Rebekah have towards Esau's wives. You have to go to the Midrash stories for more information on why they didn't like Judith and Basemeth, but basically one was vain and liked jewelry, and the other found her fun outside of the marriage bed. Now, the Bible doesn't say that, and this leaves the reader with the impression that the parents were just being racist, and honestly, they kind of are. Rebekah has her faults too. She's sneaky and dishonest with Isaac, which drives me up the wall. She totally screwed Esau over deliberately out of his inheritance. And this is just bad parenting. Why didn't she talk to Isaac about God's prophecy? It would have come to the same place in the end and maybe not have caused this much pain. Questions. How hairy is Esau? I just want to know. Who were the other sons? Communicate, Becky. Why didn't you communicate? In closing, thank you so much for sticking this one out. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, comment, or share, do the bell thing. Really, how hairy is Esau? Are we talking like just a little bit fuzzy? Or did he have hypertrichosis? I really want to know. I hope you'll join me next time on the Secular Scriptures for Sister Wives in Servitude, though I may have to put some short videos in between because the holidays always kick my butt.